Yeah, 3540 because I need them. And here we are live. We've got a lot of good stuff for you today. I'm joined by my co-host David Dubato, who has his own wonderful channels. Sorry, excuse me. Has his own wonderful channels, which you should focus on. You'll see the links in the description, and they'll come up in the comments as well as we proceed. What are we talking about today, David? I think we decided that Victory Day is still the topic of conversation, and there's been some movement on that one. I'll hand over to you.
I'm really glad not to focus on Donald Trump today, although he's part of everything, including the Victory Day parade and, of course, what's going on in Ukraine. But no, we're going to focus on the recent round of devastating attacks on Ukraine over the last 24 hours. Over 1,800 individual drones and missiles hit Ukraine just in the last 24 hours, including, let me just leap to this, and you could talk about it later on, of course, including one a hit on a Ukrainian kindergarten. Isn't that nice? Russian drone strike on a Sumy kindergarten kills a woman and injures two. Of course, this had great strategic and military value, didn't it, Jonathan? Here's a further picture of that devastation. The firefighters trying to put out the blaze. And right after that, a pissed off Zelensky, and I don't blame him, came out and basically said, okay, you son of a, you know what, we're going to retaliate. You got your Victory Day parade coming up pretty soon. I called for a ceasefire, just to kind of stop hostilities for a while, while you had your Victory Day parade. And how did you reward that call for peace? With 1,820 attacks. I'm paraphrasing. You can read the comments by Zelensky. So I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I think we may see some interesting actions during the Victory Day parade, even though you and I yesterday, I think, said we both believe that he may not hit the actual parade, the Kremlin, but he's going to use that opportunity because Moscow has redeployed a lot of their anti-aircraft defenses from the Kremlin, or to the Kremlin rather, from very strategic areas. In fact, I'm just going to show briefly, here's some anti-aircraft emplacements around or at the Kremlin. Well, he's moved a lot of those to the Kremlin, even more so, leaving a lot of their oil infrastructure, military bases uncovered, at least undercovered and underprotected. But now what Zelensky just said earlier today, I think he may do both. I think he's going to try to, for sure, hit the infrastructure, but I think he's going to give a gift or two. One of those gifts that keeps on giving to the Victory Day parade at the Kremlin. What do you think?
I think this could be correct because to not just ignore the ceasefire, but to dramatically increase the scale and intensity and indeed lethality of strikes is a clear response. How Putin expects Ukraine to honor his parade, which quite frankly is the centerpiece of his regime, a regime that's trying to erase Ukraine. I mean, it's nonsense to start with, but he hasn't given anything. He hasn't given any indication that they're serious in any way about peace. He's given a signal that Ukraine should not respect it. In fact, I would be disappointed if something doesn't happen. Now, I kind of tend to agree with you. Yesterday, I would bet that really it would be oil infrastructure and stuff outside of Moscow that get hit. Now, I rather suspect, and I think strategically it's important, that Putin is humiliated, that actually he is forced not to appear, or if he does appear, he has to be bundled off stage. Imagine the optics of that, the weakness that it will project. If the parade is cancelled, it will be extraordinary, even if nothing is technically hit. But there could be some other stuff. I mean, I just dropped the word Kerch Bridge in here. Who knows? There are many ways to humiliate Trump on this holiday. Give him his parade, but drop the Kerch Bridge.
I know you meant Putin there.
Be the optics.
You meant Putin.
Yeah, Putin. Putin, give him his little parade. Sorry.
Well, we would love to humiliate
I get
Trump
my dictators kind of mixed up.
But no. Well, they're the same people. I think they are the same person, actually. They're just avatars.
Yes. And they both have a penchant for military parades, although we do remember that Trump's one was a little lackluster, and he seemed to fall asleep during it.
Wait till the 4th of July and the 250th anniversary for that crap this summer. Oh my God.
Oh, I guess they're going to pull out all the stops
Oh
for that,
my
aren't they?
God. Let me ask you about the Victory Day parade, because this is the most important or interesting issue going on today, at least in my opinion. Who do you think is going to show up? You mentioned that, of course, Putin, he needs to be very well protected, during this. I'm interested to see what he looks like. I mean, is he going to be flanked by his FSO, by his personal, presidential security guard? Are they going to do a Roman Legion turtle where they're going to just cover him like this? Is he going to not even be there? Is he going to be an AI generated Putin in the stands? Are any of the heroes from World War II, the Great Patriotic War, that are still alive, are they going to be sitting next to him like in previous years? Are there going to be any officials at all from other nations, politicians?
No, we already know
who's going
some
to
of
be
those
there?
answers. Yeah, we already know a few of those answers. So there won't be any deputies from the parliament.
Correct.
It seems Putin has got so paranoid he can't tolerate even his own rubber stamp politicians attending. That tells you about the sort of scale of paranoia that is gripping the regime. There are going to be very few foreign leaders. It's not a big round anniversary like last year. So there's going to be very few people there. And I think it's his own chosen security guards. It's people who are vetted to present literally zero risk perceived to the regime. No one's going to be allowed close to him, and that includes veterans and others. So I think we're going to see a very anemic, very staged kind of parade if it goes ahead at all. But it already exudes weakness. The fact that you don't have tanks, you don't have planes, you don't have missile launchers, the fact that so many parades across the country have now been cancelled. Ukraine has already won the optics of Victory Day. The question is this in Putin's mind his last Victory Day? And I think, for me, the symbolism is that this is it. I do not think his regime will survive, or at least he personally will not be leading this regime in 2027.
I hope you're right. Is it true, the rumor that I just heard, that Steven Seagal is going to be there and volunteer to be a security guard?
Well, now we know Putin's absolutely screwed. Maybe they'll have Gerard Depardieu as well, flanking him on the other side. Yeah.
For those of the viewers that may not know, Steven Seagal, the famous martial arts actor and all that good stuff, became a Russian citizen. What was it, in 2016 or somewhere around that time? It's been 10 or 15 years. For whatever reason, I mean, obviously he's ideologically aligned with Putin, but he's a best forever friend of Putin for real. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. He's gone into Ukraine and posted some really disgusting videos, I think, from Bucha and some other Irpin and some other areas during the beginning of the war. But anyway, I don't want to even joke about him. He should be there, because if the Kremlin, if the Victory Day parade is attacked, that would be a good place for him to be.
It would, and you can add Sasha from Russia, or whatever her name is, as well, and all the little propagandists on social media that are trying to whitewash the regime and its crimes. No, I mean, I think Ukraine understands, and I've been saying this again for several years now, it's not enough to win kinetically against Russia. It's not enough to push them back. And this is the point that Jessica Berlin makes very, very forcefully, is you have to do it with humiliation. Yep. You have to force them to come to you begging on their knees and dropping all pretense at trying to demand concessions and manipulate the forum. You have to beat them so badly that they beg and they beg. And like an animal that's been beaten to within an inch of its life, you have to create a reflex that they never even contemplate attacking again, because the memory of it is so painful for them. This is what, unfortunately, Western politicians do not get. If this war ends in anything approaching a ceasefire, Russia will not learn the lesson. Russians will not learn the lesson. It has to be learned at a deeply visceral and psychological level. Don't touch Ukraine, because you will be burnt so badly that you will not recover the next time. And May the 9th is a great place to inflict a humiliation on the swamp empire.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't get it. You're absolutely right. I mean, not that the United States under Trump and Marco Rubio are going to try to humiliate Putin, but in general, the West still doesn't get it. Yes, Europe is coming around. And we said that yesterday. I'll keep saying it as long as they don't backtrack. But they still don't get that the only way, like you just said, to force their hand, number one, is to defeat them militarily, to just beat them like a drum. So they absolutely have to withdraw, or to humiliate them, to make them feel that they're a laughing stock on the world stage. All dictators, Trump and all the rest of them, Putin, hate to be laughed at, to hate to be humiliated. They would rather die, which isn't a bad alternative, rather than be laughed at. So defeat them militarily, which the West can't or won't do at this point, and or humiliate the crap out of them. The West doesn't quite get that. The Eastern Europeans do, but for the most part, the West doesn't get that. Forget America contributing to that. Just ain't going to happen. Zelensky gets it. All Ukrainians get that, and that's what they're doing, and they're succeeding. They are winning. Folks, listen. Ukraine has all the cards now. They have for a while, but they really do now.
They have the cards. I mean, I don't like quoting from President Trump, but he said something curious I've not heard him say before. And this isn't in any way to, build into it anything, tangible. But he said the other day that not only are Ukrainians brave, which he has said before, he said Ukrainians are effective. He's never said that before. Now, I'm not saying that by way of, Trump's turned or he's suddenly going to provide aid to Ukraine, although there's a little interesting thing that looks like they're about to sell JDAMs and a certain class of ammunition that have not been supplied before via the European sort of Pearl munitions purchase scheme. So that's kind of curious. The interesting thing for me is, whenever he speaks to Trump, he gets one set of narratives which are very, very clearly coming from Putin. But when he says something vaguely positive, where's he getting it from? Who is feeding it to him?
Well, I would like to say Lindsey Graham, because until Trump went into his second term, Lindsey Graham was one of the most anti-Kremlin, anti-Russian, anti-Putin members of the U.S. Congress. So I don't think it's coming from him. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I honestly
possibly. I mean, it's not Colby, it's not Hegseth, and it's not Vance.
I don't think it's coming
ideologically,
I don't think it's coming from anywhere. I'll have to say, Trump is so weird. It's coming from deep inside his lunacy. I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
It's got to come from somewhere. I mean, he repeats the patterns, the cadence, the tone, the words
that he hears
of somebody else. I don't think there's an original thought here, and this isn't just to criticize him. He has no external sources of reading.
Criticize him, please.
He has no external sources of information. So whatever he says has come from somewhere. It's possible that somebody on Fox News said something positive, because occasionally on Ukraine they do, but that's his only source. And he would have to hear it from more than one. Maybe hear it on Fox News, then get someone within his circle to corroborate it before he regurgitates it. So there's maybe a sort of some kind of operation from within the Trump administration to try and get some good information. But it is countered, as I say, by this triumvirate of completely ideologically aligned, I think, with Russia, which is Colby, Vance, and Hegseth. And they are in some form of internal war with those who are inclined to be more pro-Ukraine. But will this translate into anything at all? I think you and I are inclined to say no. But then this news about the sale of JDAMs, which is a significant class of munition, can cause significant damage. It's like, I find that difficult to explain, unless there are people in the Pentagon who have, got the courage to sort of say, right, we're going to do this, and they've got it rubber stamped. I don't know. I don't know what's going there, honestly. Or it's King Charles.
For that specific,
someone says.
Well, for that specific
King Charles
issue,
could have fed some of these ideas to him as well.
I may be wrong, but for that specific issue that you just mentioned, I think that could be the defense industry lobby here in America, which is huge. They want some money. And they'll even, I hate to say that, they'll even sell to Ukraine, which is so, what an insult. How horrible. But that's a significant amount of money to them. And I think that it could have come from the defense lobby here, like I said, which is arguably, aside from the fossil fuel lobby, the strongest lobby in the United States, and does have the ear of Trump. Most don't, but they do. So I think that's possible. Let me play one thing here really quick, or show you. Zelensky is in Ukraine hammering the Russian infrastructure, as we talk about a lot. And recently they've been hitting this one area a lot. I don't know how that's pronounced. The Tuapse or Tuapse oil.
Tuapse.
Tuapse, exactly. Well, that's been hit. Is it 4 or 5 times?
Five times now.
Go.
It's done. That facility is
huge
so
oil
done.
Spill in the river that's there in the Black Sea. That's where they're getting oil dropping down. Let me just say this, but not to be outdone or to try to interfere with the Russians' summer vacation, the Kremlin just put this out. Russia promises on-time start to the tour season in the seaside region, pounded by Ukrainian drones. Messaging from the Kremlin-controlled media is that a summer vacation in the Black Sea port of Tuapse, hit 5 times by Ukrainian kamikaze drones in the past 40 days, is an excellent, ausgezeichnete, an отличная idea. Well, let me just post something here about any Russians that want to go to Tuapse for their summer vacation. This is what's going to greet them. So if that's what you want to do, and maybe you do, I don't know. There you go. There's your summer vacation. And you can thank the Ukrainians for that, who, you can soak up all the oil you can drink.
So. All the oil you can drink, and of course, you don't need to bring sun cream, because you can lather yourself with crude.
There you go. You look at his drink. He's got a little tropical oil drink going there. I think he's got some little umbrella drink, maybe some citrus coming out of it. What a deal! And I bet they give you some really good prices to go there right now.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. They are pushing this. They're pushing
the holidays into Tuapse,
Yeah.
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but I think this stuff is carcinogenic as well. If you breathe it in, you get it on your skin. You've got it, residue of it on your car, and your it's. But the Russian government and local governors are perfectly happy to kill their conversation. I like a BME there. I wonder what a crude tan was. Let's bring this comment up. Just smell it from Krasnodar. Yeah, I wonder what a crude tan was. I mean, in Russia, the memes write themselves. Unfortunately, we don't make nearly enough of that, unless you're in the NATO community, or you're following Ukraine closely. No, they are demonstrably losing. Victory Day could be extraordinary, but then there's the other humiliation, which I wanted to bring up, which is the sight of Macron, also Zelensky, and European leaders in Armenia. It looks like they have managed to peel Armenia away strategically from the sphere of Moscow. And let's face it, for those vatniks who talk about the expansion of Moscow, they should just study how happy countries are, how truly happy they are when they've managed to extricate themselves from out of the sphere of Moscow. This is something people should bear in mind. It's a cause for celebration when you manage to peel away from the Orc Empire.
And Armenia was a pretty close ally for a long, long time of the Kremlin. I also just read today that Kazakhstan, was it Kazakhstan? I think Kazakhstan is going to stop importing Russian oil next year, 2027.
Which is another huge move. I mean, one of the reasons the Muscovite Empire exists is in order to have captured territories to buy their hydrocarbons and their products. If you just look at it as a political entity, you will not understand what it exists for. So the fact that you lose this security architecture, or countries seeking security architecture, is one thing. But if they move away from you as a supplier, that's everything. That is everything. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it seems that Ukraine will not leave much of Russia's infrastructure intact, its oil processing, logistics, export facilities, longer term looks dark. It looks very, very dark for Russia, because surely it took generations to build this infrastructure after the USSR fell. And that was with the West that was desperately trying to rescue Russia, rehabilitate it.
Yeah.
We may not have that same desperation now to pick them up off the floor. I think Russia is facing many dark, impoverished decades, and possibly chaotic ones when Putin does fall.
Well, and you're right. I mean, it was primarily American oil companies, with I think some assistance from some British oil companies, but primarily American oil companies after the war that built up the Russian oil and gas industry. And you're right. Now it's being pulverized. I read another interesting piece this morning that despite all of the fact that the oil price is still going up and Russia is reaping some reward from that, the gasoline at the pumps, the gas that Russians have to pay at the pumps, is going up still dramatically, as it is here in the United States. But that's another issue. So even though, the price of oil is going up, they're losing their refineries, they're losing their pumping stations, they're losing their infrastructure to process or to sell and ship their oil. So they're not exactly reaping the benefits of this as much as they would like to. And as you said, for the long term, they're toast. Even if the oil goes to 200 a barrel, the Russian economy is taking a huge hit. There are even bank runs right now. People can't get their money out of some of the banks. They can't get mortgages. They can't afford it. Their inflation rate is going nuts. So, yeah, they're in for very dark times, probably intergenerational, as you mentioned. It's not a good thing. The coup talk about Putin, which has always been rumors, and we discussed this a little yesterday, and there's been a lot of podcasts about it. They're more true now than ever. That's why I said I wonder if he's going to actually show for the Victory Day parade, or whether it's going to be his double. You know what, Jonathan?
Yes.
I don't doubt that either.
That's very likely, especially now that this idea of giving them a gift of a truce. It seems that he needs it, but he can't bring himself to take the measures that would ensure it. He can't bring himself to hand, the prisoners over. He can't bring himself to stop hitting Ukraine in a way that might lead to some truce. It is, I call it, a rational psychopathic behavior, but actually there's more and more of the irrational in it. He is a psychopath, and whenever he is perceived to be weak, whenever he is perceived to have given a concession, he then lashes out in a vicious and violent way, a murderous way as well. If people aren't really getting it, this guy is a monster. He is a killer. It doesn't mean that he is like some kind of bogeyman. He's flesh and blood. You can try and rationalize his thought processes, but he is a mass murderer. And he does not think and act like most of us or any other Western politician.
There's been, like I just said, rumors swirling around for a very, very long time about a coup against Putin. But one of the primary suspects in a coup against Putin is, of all people, Shoigu.
Well, this is debatable here. This is debatable. Because
no, I would like to discuss it with you. I mean, I don't think I don't even think he's capable. But he was, in a very high position for a very long time. He still is, although he took a demotion. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he would have the backing of the oligarchs, the military, and the intelligence services to do that. And so I think he's just the latest name that people are looking at as a possibility. I don't see him as a successor to Putin or someone that's going to launch a coup. What do you think?
No, I don't. And but it doesn't mean there isn't paranoia. So I think the intelligence report says is that internally he's been identified as a potential risk. I mean, that doesn't mean they think he is capable of an active campaign or that he's currently engaged in an active campaign against the regime. But what they're identifying is I think, correct, is that if something was to occur, a sort of black swan event, something that limits Putin or forces him out of the capital, it's possible that others might look to Shoigu as a focal point. So I think this has been widely misinterpreted into there being an active and current plot. That's not really what it's saying. It's just that the regime is turning in on itself. It is asking the question that if something would happen to Putin, who is likely to jostle or become the focus or try to be persuaded to do this stuff? I also, and I'm going to ping this back over to you, because people like Mark Galeotti and actually someone who's been on our channel, Yuri Felshchinsky, have sort of said, look, nothing's really happening behind the scenes. This is all kind of froth, which leads me to the other interpretation, is that maybe our intelligence services are finally engaging with a bit of combat psychology, trying to stir internal division and paranoia, given the highly coordinated nature, the way that report was given to multiple news outlets.
Yeah.
It could be part of a concerted Western psyop to destabilize the Putin regime. That would give me extreme that would make me feel very good finally, because this is something we should have been doing several years ago. But if we are now finally getting to grips with this, not caring the outcome, but trying to destabilize Putin, well, this is a good thing.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, a basic tenet of psyops, at least in the military and in the intelligence community, is to do just that, to plant some not exactly true information just to stir up the pot, to cause confusion, to cause infighting. The Russians are brilliant with that. They've been doing that forever. We're not as brilliant with that, meaning America specifically, and even some, Western intelligence agencies. If in fact that is what this is all about, I think that's great. It shows that they're trying to finally be active and possibly have some more contacts within the Russian military or intelligence agencies, which we haven't had really for a very, very long time. And just to circle back to Shoigu for a moment, he's never even served in the military. The fact that he was defense minister was an insult to everyone over there. So I can't imagine he has any support of the military or the intelligence agencies. I think, like you said, if he's not just a plant, a psyop fall guy from the West, then he is, like you said, possibly being used as a focal point if and when Putin falls, someone to organize around or to put all the pieces together. Or he may wind up like Shoigu. Who the hell knows at this point? I'm not Shoigu. That's Prigozhin. That's Prigozhin.
Prigozhin. That's right. It reveals where we are, which is that you have a regime with extreme paranoia, weakness. Yes. It's brittle. That doesn't mean it's going to fall apart tomorrow. It might last for months. We might just wake up and something extraordinary has happened. But what you want to do is to get it into that point of brittleness. So that you create the opportunity for things to fail. In that state of brittleness, the regime also becomes less capable at dealing with crises. So you manufacture crises, you intensify the pressure, you create the chance for something to happen or something to cascade. Fortunately, it seems the regime is doing a number of these things for itself or in relation to Ukrainian pressure. It's then taking steps and actions that make its own power base more brittle and ineffective. One of those, of course, is the internet whitelist, the mobile internet bans and suspensions, especially around Victory Day, the fact that taxis don't work, ATMs don't work, banks, shop tellers, the whole lot is falling apart. And Russians are not complaining about their genocidal war. They're complaining about the loss of personal convenience and privilege. This is another psychological point which Ukrainians, I think, have finally woken up to. Russians need to feel the pain and humiliation. They need to be denied their personal privileges and comfort. And then eventually they will decide that it's not worth it. They will not reform. They will not suddenly become moral political beings, but they will say, enough is enough. Give me my little creature comforts and perks back again.
One of the biggest dangers, possible dangers to the fall of Putin and the whole regime right now is kind of, well, exactly what you said. The average Russian person is more pissed off, more angry about the loss of Telegram than they are about the war in Ukraine and even the rampant inflation that's going on now.
Telegram,
Instagram, yeah.
Instagram.
Well,
It's like,
here's
all of it. Pictures.
All of it. But I was shocked to learn that Telegram is and just way the most popular. I think it's 100 million Russians regularly use Telegram out of a population of only about 143 million. So the fact that they blocked that in most of Russia, or greatly decreased it, has angered more Russians than almost any other issue over the last since Putin's been in power. And they actually talk about that. There are people who actually go in public and talk to reporters, even foreign journalists, about how angry they are about the loss of Telegram. So oddly enough, that may be the spark that starts any kind of a real action against Putin. But like everything else, we're going to have to wait and see if that develops into anything.
We are absolutely the case. There's a lot to explore there. We have got an interesting one tomorrow, where we're going to be we're going to have the unique Malcolm Nance joining us tomorrow at 3:00, same time as usual. Yep. Yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. So we'll be pivoting back to Iran, but we'll also be talking about Ukraine, Cuba, and all the other insanity that's going on. I probably have to sort of dial out now because I can feel my throat sort of clamming up with the
you just choked up with the news. You're just so excited. I know.
I'm choked up with the news. No, it's the hay fever really it's the hay fever kicking off. But
I get you.
That's
I understand. All right. I just want to tell folks before we go, I am having my podcast broadcast almost every day, Monday through Friday, on protectingtherepublic.com, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK. That is protectingtherepublic.com. It may or may not be a live stream, depending on if Substack gets off its duff and allows me to use a third-party software to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be just a regular podcast. So 12 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. UK time on protectingtherepublic.com. Please join me there. Other than that, we're signed out for today, my friend.
I think we've covered that. We've got lots to look forward to. We've got Bavovna, as they say, awaiting on May the 9th. And we'll be here. We'll be here for it and to unpack those trends. For today, thanks for everyone joining us. And definitely tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a big one.
Bye-bye.